Okay, this is going to be what I like to call the Grenades of Death Trap build. Um, as you can see, I am running a Pit 100 in the upper left-hand corner there, and I am doing that with the current build that I have going right now. Um, as you can see, it's not even close to being perfected yet. I still have a ways to go on a lot of stuff. Um, I still have the 4 aspects that I'm wearing need to be tapped out to their level 21. Other than that, I have everything masterworked with the exception of the Scoundrel's Leather. It's topped out for a 750. I need to get an 800 item power. I would like to get an 800 item power on the Beastfall boots as well, but I would also like it to be the full 0.75 increased damage. I think that would be really, really nice, but hey, things are what they are. So let's go over the build real quick here as far as the items, and then we'll get into the skills and everything. So, okay, first off, I'm wearing the Harlequin Crest. You're going to need that for this build so that you can get the damage reduction plus the +4 ranks to all skills. And in that helm, we are wearing the Serve Vex, which we cast 5 skills, become exhausted, and we get a +1 to all skills for 10 seconds. So that's a nice little boost. It gives you a +1 to all skills, including passives. So it really kind of boosts your damage as well as recovery and defense, which this particular build is good on armor wise, but lacking when it comes to resistances. For our armor piece, our first armor piece we're wearing here on the chest, we are wearing the Scoundrel's Leathers. We're mostly only wearing this for the trap and grenade skills are considered core skills piece, as well as down here, well, I guess I can't move my mouse, down to the bottom, you'll see where it says gain 18 times core skill damage. Now, we don't care about the inner sight part. I know it says while you have unlimited energy from inner sight, casting a core skill has a 76% chance to spawn your caltrops or poison trap or death trap. I believe that is actually separate from the gain 18 times multiplicative core skill damage. So what we're looking at here for is the trap and grenade skills become core, and then they get an 18 times boost, right? On our gloves, we are wearing the Fists of Fate. I would love to find a perfect pair that's a level 800 with a 300 to it. I actually do have a pair that is just that. However, the lucky hit on that particular pair is not near as high as this. I have a 101% lucky hit chance, and I want to maintain that. So to take the 10% drop in damage here is okay for me until I can find something that's equal to and or better. For our pants, we are wearing Eyes in the Dark. This is a required item for this build in order for it to work and work properly. And this is Death Trap deals 150 times increased damage and will rearm itself once after activating. So you basically get 2 shots for 1 there, which is really, really nice. This particular pair I found also has a maxed out ultimate damage. Of course, Death Trap is an ultimate, so we're getting quite a bit of massive, massive damage here. Another required part for this build is the Beastfall boots. When you cast an ultimate skill, your next core skill consumes all of your energy and deals 0.70% multiplicative increased damage per energy consumed. That's important because now that your trap skills and everything are core skills, due to the Scoundrel's Leather up here, and your grenades are also core skills, your grenades get a massive, massive boost here, right? And so we want our grenades to be doing a lot of damage. We want our Death Trap to be doing a lot of damage. Since Death Trap is an ultimate, it gets a boost from the ultimate side, but because it's also being considered a core skill, I do believe it gets the 0.70% multiplicative increase per damage energy of damage per energy consumed, since it's getting the core tag put on it as well. So it's pretty sweet. For our weapon, we're taking a two-hander here for the crossbow, and this is where we put our first aspect, right? We're running the Apogeic Furor, so casting an ultimate skill increases your ultimate damage by 19.2% multiplicative for up to 10 times, and so you can get a max of 192 times multiplicative damage because you get 10 stacks. And then once you hit that 10 stacks, all of your cooldowns and then the bonus, of course, are reset, and you have to build back up. And it builds up fairly quickly, so we're good to go there. On this particular item, you know, you want to try to go for dexterity. You want to go for maximum life. Obviously, I took this one specifically because it has that max life to it. For tempering, we're going to put damage to close enemies and a chance for Death Trap to deal double damage. We come over to our amulet. Here I'm running just standard amulet, 800 item power, but I'm using the Trickster's aspect on it. So the Tricksters, Caltrop, Smoke Grenade, and Death Trap receive your stun grenade benefits and throw stun grenades that deal, 1,500 damage. We don't really care about that 1,500 damage per se so much. We do care about the fact that it puts on all of our skills the stun grenade tag, right? So Death Trap becomes a stun grenade. Caltrops becomes a stun grenade. Stun grenades are a stun grenade, of course, for smoke grenades. And then we're not too worried about anything else after that. Traps becoming stun grenades, very, very important to this build. So, of course, here, if you can get cooldown reduction, shoot for that cooldown reduction. And then for your temperings, you want damage to close enemies and Death Trap cooldown. Because Death Trap needs to cool down. It needs to have at least 10 seconds or less cooldown time. So you want to get as much cooldown and Death Trap cooldown specifically as possible. Next thing we're going with here is the Ring of Starless Skies. Obviously, this gives us a +5 to core skills. So, because your ultimate is now a core skill and all your other traps are core skills, they're all going to get a +5 to them, right? Huge, huge boost to the core skills and another boost to the damage. And then, of course, typical spend your primary resource, reduces the cost of your skills that use the resource. And then increases your damage by 10% multiplicative for 3 seconds up to 50% because you basically get 5 stacks in that 3 seconds. So here we are, you know what? Yeah, let's go into it. Here we are using I forget the name of this particular occult gem, but it's the one where your ultimate skills get treated as an Eldritch, Growth and Decay, and Psych skill at the same time. And then your ultimate skills will deal 10 times increased damage. Up on the amulet, not worried about the name again here, but it's your summons deal 15% times increased direct damage to hexed elites. I'm not really using this for any specific reason other than it's the only other occult gem I had. There is another one that I think will be better to put in here that'll boost it a bit more. I don't remember the name of it, but once I go figure it out and earn it, I will maybe update the video. All right, for our second ring, we're just wearing a regular old 800 item power here. Again, we're hoping for cooldown if we can get it, but attack speed works as well. Critical strike damage here, damage to close enemies, and then Death Trap cooldown again because you really, really want to cool down that Death Trap. And then, of course, we're wearing the Vehement Brawlers aspect, so casting an ultimate skill increases your damage by 29 times, multiplicative for 8 seconds. If you can get it maxed out, you'll get the full 30. And then your ultimate skill gains an additional 2 ranks. So all these plus to core skills here, right? You get the plus 4 ranks to all skills off the Harlequin crest. We're getting a plus 5 to all skills basically here. All core skills anyway, off the Starless Skies ring. And then, of course, we get 2 additional ultimate skills ranks using the Vehement Brawlers enhancing aspect. All right, so next item. This is not a requirement of any kind. I may actually even trade this one out, but I'm wearing Doombringer mostly because you get the 232 to all stats and the damage reduction. Right now, I think the damage reduction is very, very important because, again, the resistances on this build suck. You know, and not really doing a whole lot of shadow damage. There could be a way to beef that up somehow to make it do more shadow damage, but I'm not too stressed about it. Over here, we've got the Serpent's Bite of Surprise, the surprise aspect. Very, very important. As you can see on this particular dagger, I was lucky enough to get 189.2 to ultimate damage, so that's really sweet. And then we got, of course, chance for Death Trap to deal double damage, so the percentages there are probably hitting somewhere in the 70 to 80 range on that. The big thing here is the surprise aspect. When you evade or shadow step, you drop a cluster of exploding stun grenades. We don't really care about the 1014 or even if it was maxed out at 1170. That's not going to be too important. What's really going to be important is when we get into the Paragon side of things. The 1000 damage, the better you can get it, great. And you'll see why. But also Surprise gives us a 41% increased damage to our stun grenades. And again, the Smoke Grenade is a stun grenade. Death Trap is a stun grenade, right? And then Caltrops is considered a stun grenade. So they're all going to get this little 41% increased damage boost. Now, I might trade the Doombringer out. And if I do decide to trade the Doombringer out, I have an item here. And that happens sometimes. I don't know why it does that. I have an item here that I'm going to swap it out with at some point, maybe, just to see how it does. But what I want on here is the, I forget the name of the aspect. Let's see if I can find it. Inner Calm. Inner Calm is the one we want on here. And why do I want Inner Calm? Because it gives 11% multiplied increased damage, and then triple that if I'm standing still for 3 seconds. So I will get 33% multiplicative damage. If I can get it 13, we're looking at 39% multiplicative damage, right? And that's a lot of damage increase, and you will be standing still at least enough to proc the 11% there with this build. And I think I might even stand still long enough if you pay attention to the video in the corner that's on loop. I think there's a few times where I stay for 3 seconds in the same spot. And again, the nice thing with this is I'll get the chance for Death Trap to deal double damage. I'll get an increase to my critical strike damage. I'll get an increase to my maximum life, and an increase to dexterity as well as regular damage. And I think it's a fair trade-off with the Doombringer, so I may swap that out at some point. All right, so that being said, let's get to a nicer area here, and I'll show you the stats. As you can see, fire resistance, lightning, any of the resistances, they're all at 50% or less. It sucks for resistances. However, the way this build works, you're stunning stuff enough, you're not going to have to worry about resistances too much. Especially if you take the Zan and Mott combination, so that when you cast an ultimate skill, which you're casting a lot, you gain a shadow from the Rogue's Dark Shadow skill, Dark Shroud skill, and it reduces any damage you're taking. It also gives you a nice buff against resistances. It doesn't boost resistances itself, it absorbs the attacks coming from your enemy. So, as you can see in the video up there, that's a Pit 100 that I'm running. A Pit 100, and I don't even have my gems topped out yet. Now this build is a combination of two things. It's a combination of a video and then a link to the D4 planner for that video of Wudijo's version of the Death Trap build. That's what this is supposed to be, is basically the Death Trap build. And then it's also a combination of the Maxroll guide, which was done by Mippy. I made a slight change to Mippy's Paragon board layout. For the most part, it's using that Paragon board. However, I did change out a couple of things. The explosive here, and then a snare. Where is it? Snare right here. I went with snare specifically because it's unique to trap skills. And so Death Trap is a trap skill. And so I want to increase damage to trap skills as much as possible. And then, of course, non-ultimate based trap skills will have a 25% multiplicative increased radius. So, you know, if we could get other things to be considered trap skills, that would be nice, because that would just boost their damage that much more. I don't know if snare really works on this particular board that it's on. This is the board with Dance Macabre in it. And, you know, mobility and subterfuge skills increase damage of your next skill by 75% multiplicative, which is a nice boost. I just don't think that there's enough intelligence in this area to get this board where it really needs to be to shine as far as the trap skill side goes. But I'm still getting 179% increase there. And this particular glyph is not even fully leveled up yet. Snare is currently sitting at level 80. So I still got 20 levels to go to max it out. And so the damage on that's only going to get better. It's going to easily crack over 200, and it'll be a nice increase. The big thing here is the explosive. This is on a board where there is a lot of dexterity. And we want that because, as you can see, the stun grenades are dealing a 55.3% additive increase damage. And with as much dexterity as on this particular board, in which case this is the cheap shot board, I've gotten my stun grenades up to where they're doing 1,216% increased damage. And then there is a 26.2% multiplicative stun grenade damage, right? And then you gain damage reduction when you drop a grenade. So you get that damage reduction for 2 seconds. You're always dropping grenades. If you look at the video in the upper left-hand corner, you will see that there's a couple of things going on there. One is I'm casting Death Trap, but two is I'm constantly casting stun grenades. The cooldown on stun grenades is ridiculous for me right now, and I'm casting it a lot, and that is where the damage is really coming from, is the stun grenade and stun grenade tag. Keep in mind, Death Trap is now considered a stun grenade. So therefore, it's receiving all the damage multipliers that the stun grenade receives. It's very, very important for the explosive glyph, right? To have that stun grenade damage as high as it is means Death Trap is going to be doing a lot more damage than what it normally would, in conjunction with regular stun grenades. Outside of that, the board's pretty much the same as what you see on Maxroll, right? We're starting off with the starter board. We put ambush in there, pick up all the strength in the area that we can. There is more strength that we can get, but you know, I had to limit it a little bit in order to beef up my drive. Of course, I'm only at level 262, so there's still more room to grow here and put points into strength in areas. We could pick up a strength point there, and then I can probably come over here and get some strengths in here. And then ambush will increase the damage as well, right? So keep that in mind. You know, for every 5 strength, you're dealing 13.7% increased damage to targets affected by trap skills. Everything is a trap skill as far as the death trap goes, so they will take a huge multiplier here if I could just beef that up. And I may steal points from other stuff. You know, I'm not too sure I need the maximum life. I may take some points out of maximum life, and I don't know if attack speed really matters so much on the final board here, which is no witnesses. I'm not attacking fast. You don't really attack fast as far as your regular attack speeds go. So I might be able to sacrifice these 2 top areas right here and then put them over here to boost the ambush damage. But those are the big 3 that you really want to kind of go for. Is you want to go for ambush, getting as many points out of that as you can, maybe even swap it with a glyph somewhere else that has more strength on it already, like turf here, right? I mean, turf gives you damage to close targets, but I don't know, I think I would rather multiply the overall damage of my trap skills. So I might switch ambush out with turf just to get the increased strength. It's a work in progress on that goes, but the big 3 are ambush, explosive, and snare, right? They're going to be your real big damage pushers. And so how the build works, and what you can't see in the video too much or too well, is what I'm doing is I've got caltrops on the number 1 key. I've got what is that, the stealth step there, shadow step on the number 2. We have death trap on number 3, and then we have grenades on number 4, and then barrage for our primary on the mouse, and evade as our secondary mouse. The skill set layout, Paragon board layout, pretty much exactly as it is in the Maxroll version. I didn't make any changes there, so I really didn't want to spend too much time going over the skill tree itself. But basically, as you can see, Death Trap gets all the way up to 14 on it, pushes a lot of damage. Your smoke grenades get up to 10, right? Caltrops gets up to 10. The one thing I would really like to do, but I'd have to sacrifice something in order to do this, like maybe boots or pants or something, I don't know, is I would like to make grenades be a trap as well. And then you're running nothing but grenade and trap tags on everything, and I think that'll be very beneficial to the build. I just haven't figured out a way to work it in yet. But what I'm doing here is, when I'm attacking, I am basically just holding down 2, 3, and 4, and then my primary mouse button. When I'm not attacking, I'm keeping those held down, but I'm letting off the shift key. In my case, I use the space bar. I don't like using the shift key for force attack, so I have the space bar set for force attack. And so what I do is I just run up on a group of enemies. I might even dash into them, and then I'll just hold down my force attack. And while I'm holding down force attack, I'm holding down keys 2, 3, and the primary mouse button. And then I'm tapping key 4 to constantly trigger 2 and 3 to be added, right? If you're holding down 2 and 3, holding down your shadow step and holding down your death trap, every time you press number 4, it will trigger keys 2 and 3 for you. And that's how I'm doing that. And I'm just running around launching a bunch of grenades. I know in Wudijo's video, he says he does the grenades first and then death trap second. I went the other way around. I'm actually triggering shadow step first, which for whatever reason, it's sometimes triggering some overpower along with critical strikes. You'll see those orange numbers in there. But I definitely want to trigger death trap first for me, because it sucks them all in, and then start hitting them with my grenades. So that's why I have my key set up the way I do. Because the minute I launch that first grenade attack, the death trap is already laid down and sucking everybody in, and then them grenades are just constantly hitting them, death traps hitting them, all this stun damage, grenade damage. It's just massive. And as you can see in this particular pit that I'm running, and in the video there in the corner, it's a pit 100, and I don't have any of my glyphs maxed out yet. It's a pretty devastating build. It's pretty good. I think by the time I get all my glyphs leveled out to 100, that this is going to be close to being up there with some of the other S tier level builds, such as the Necromancer Bloodwave that I run, which I already completed the season with, and so I wanted to try something new, and so I decided to go with a rogue. I've always liked the rogue character. I just could never find a decent build that worked for me after the Heartseeker build got nerfed. So, but then I came across this death trap grenade combo. So I just like to call it grenades of death trap. And it's so far been working out really, really, really well. Like I said, once I get the rest of my glyphs up where they need to be, I think it's going to be a massive, massive hit for me. And I'm going to enjoy playing it a lot. So give it a shot and let me know what you think. Till the next one.